This is the LLM Whisperer, and I've been shipping software for the last 21 years. All that workflow has changed. Let me show you how I work. So we have here a ticketing system, in this case is Notion, and we can see that we have a project that has 6 tickets. Some of them have been completed, they have their own pull requests, and there is one that has a higher priority and is on progress. Let's have a look at the ticket itself. So we have here is a new feature. It's an alert engine with threshold-based rules. Okay, so we have to implement the alert engine that triggers alerts when services fail health checks. So this is a project that contains a number of health checks for different services. So it's like a wrapper for different health checks for you to have a centralized way to monitor your systems. So what needs to be done? So we need to implement the alert engine, process result, and that evaluate check results against some rules. So we have some very detailed specifications. We can also see that there are some related tickets, and we have an acceptance criteria. So let's go to Claude Desktop and let's ask for some help to get some more context on the ticket. Could you please go to Notion and get the ticket number 4, and let's see what needs to be done. So now Notion is gonna be providing to Claude Desktop all the information that we can see here, plus the capacity to navigate the related tickets. So we can see the first result looks like the Git forest and alert engine. So okay, so it has detected the ticket. It says that it's an alert engine, that's correct. And the goal is to implement the alert engine that triggers service to fall. So we can see that the process results. So essentially it picked up all that we could see in the ticket itself. It's talking about a stub. So I missed that. So we have a stub. It's probably the class that is meant to be having the code, but because it looks like someone wrote those tests and they are failing, so this looks like there's some TDD going on. And also it says that it depends on the tickets number 1 and 3. So let's see, how does the stub look like? So what does the stub look like, and what do the existing tests expect? We know that there are some tests and they are failing. Oops, sorry, that was picked up as well. Okay, so it looks like there is a linked repo. Okay, that's good. So it's not only going to Notion, but it's also going to GitHub. That's good because it has the requirements from the product perspective, and it also has the context from the code perspective. So it says that the stub has something like this based on the acceptance criteria. The details likely look like, so it's actually giving me all the information that we could potentially see, and based on the acceptance criteria we could see some something like this. So let's ask him something about the failure tracking. I believe I saw something about failure tracking. So how should the consecutive failure tracking work? Does it reset on any health check or only when the alert resolve? How are we managing all that? Okay, so it's going to tell us that the ticket is pretty clear on reset behavior. The ticket reset count on healthy checks. So the moment you get like a okay, like all is good, then you reset the failures. So consecutive failures tracking should use a simple hash map. Okay, so it's already telling us some implementation details. That's interesting. No duplicate alerts, acceptance criterion. Okay, so in terms of state, the engine needs to manage at least 3 things: failures. Okay, and probably something like for the active alerts. Okay, so more or less we have to basically check the systems, the services that are failing, and those should be detected by working on the process result. And then once we build somehow the state for all those, essentially we get them here. So more or less we have an overall idea. So let's see, could you please generate the prompt so that Claude Code implements it, please? So right now, what we're going to be witnessing, and this is one of the main important things of this exercise. Claude Desktop has context, has access to files, has been going back and forth with me. So it knows context from different perspectives and is going to generate an amazing prompt with all the bits and pieces that we expect from a good product manager to be broken things up for us. And then we're going to be telling Claude Code how to implement that. So I'm really curious to see how the ticket, how the prompt looks like. And the prompt says, the context, so it's a Pulse API, it's telling me also the repository, this is a health check monitoring system, so it's telling Claude the project, what it does. It's giving the context from other tickets that are related to this ticket. This is incredible, eh? And then we have an overall architecture. So we have all the checks, the alert, the storage, the routes, and then what needs to be implemented. This is insane. This is insane. What level of granularity are we gaining here? And then when the result is healthy, we reset the consecutive failure context. We spoke about that in the planning session. Bear in mind that we have right now the role of the planner in the figure of Claude Desktop alongside myself as a coordinator of all the agents that will be involved. Because let me tell you something, there will be more than one agent here. And then we need to manage the channel state and the key decisions, the acceptance. Okay, I'm dying to implement this thing. Okay, so we copy the code, and then we are going to go to our terminal and we're going to open Claude. So now we have Claude working for us, and we're going to say, hey, Claude, we are going to start working on a new project. You are going to be the developer that is going to implement the code. You will be working alongside Claude Desktop, myself as the coordinator and senior software agentic engineer. And there will be also another agent that will be reviewing the code. That will be Codex from OpenAI. Shall we go for it? Okay, what I'm doing right now is I'm giving the context of what I am going to do, what I expect him or it to do, and then once everyone is in place, let's go for it. So now it's asking, like, this is a solid setup, you coordinating me writing code, so he's ready to go and he's as excited as I am. So it's just as simple as we give the prompt to Codex, and we can see again now in the environment where Claude Code can understand. And as we can see, we give them the ticket number, the related, and then it's already been working. Let's see if there was any thinking. So let me start by understanding the existing code base. I need to read the stub, the test, and related files to understand the exact contract. It's very important. It's very important to see. It's very important to see what the model is thinking, because you don't have to measure the quality of your agent by the output it generates, but the how it generates it. I want to see what it is thinking. I want to see what processes are similar to what you would do when you are doing an interview and you have someone in front of a whiteboard, and then you say, how would you implement this? So it looks like it has done something interesting and is even already developing code for us. Okay, so we can see that it's already saying, okay, he is applying some changes. So it's already seeing that this is a stub and it's already been removing the code. it has created a few properties. Okay, let's just let it implement. We'll go into the details later on. So let's just let it do its thing. Okay, so I'm gonna cancel this right now because I have set up this project to be fully TDD. I believe you should be doing TDD right here. This is important, ladies and gentlemen. Claude is very well known for bypassing its guardrails, Claude MD instructions, everything. So as you can see here, you're right, I jumped ahead. So it's saying that said that since the test, oh, okay. So it was not actually failing, it was me. So because the tests were already there, it is just jumping on the implementation. Okay, fair enough. Sorry about that. You carry on. That's the day by day of agentic development, especially when you have to measure, you have to control, you have to monitor what your agents do. If they can find a shortcut, if they can find something they consider is relevant, they are going to do it. You have to be on top of them. I have had really bad experiences by not monitoring the actions that they perform. Okay, it looks like it's already completed the task. So it says that all 25 tests that were failing now pass, and it has created some implementations here. So it looks like we have a class, and now the class have certain properties. We have a constructor, and we also have a set of methods, which is pretty much what the ticket was talking about. And looking at overall, I don't see any types, or I can see code that makes sense. It's checking for the non-unhealthy, is then put it into the fail count set. I guess that must be a hash map, and indeed it is. Okay, so let's ask Claude. Let's ask Claude, how can we test this locally? And it says, okay, so there is a manual testing. Okay, so we need to open two terminals. So let's open two terminals here. In one of the terminals, we need to run run dev. And now we have some outputs, and we can see that one of the systems is unhealthy. Okay, that's interesting. And two of them are healthy. And then it is saying that the payment service is configured to hit a URL that returns a 503 after 90 seconds, 3 consecutive failures of 30 seconds interval. You should see a critical alert appear for it. Okay, so we see now that we have from all the alerts that there is a payment service that is down. So actually the code is working. So we have implemented potentially the functionality here. But bear with me, we don't know if the functionality has bugs, has corner cases. Now is when the third agent plays a role. So let's expand this terminal and let's open Codex. And hi, you are an agent and is going to be reviewing the code of another agent. You are part of a team of a planner agent, myself as engineer coordinator, and there will be also a third agent that will be implementing the code that you are going to review. So could you please review the code that has been changed and not committed, please? All right, so it did indeed find some stuff, and I found interesting that it not only checked the code and checked the diff, it actually went further than that. So it says, I'm gonna run a tiny runtime check to confirm whether previously, so it detected something, it ran some tests, essentially he was executing that very file, and then it has encountered two issues with the notifier and then another medium. So let's just open Claude Code again, and we're gonna get back to it with the errors that Codex found. This is an interesting exercise because we are on top of what each agent is doing. Yes, there is a way you can configure Claude Code to interact with Codex on a headless mode, it does work, but I have experienced myself that because we know that if you are not on top of Claude Code, it's going to start doing things its way. I have encountered that in a project with a lot of microservices and a lot of different files, Codex might take longer than this exercise. And I have seen that Claude Code will say, Codex is taking so long. I'm just going to cancel it and open the PR and merge it if everything is all right, which is what we want to prevent. And as we can see, it says good catches from the reviewer. Let me address them. Real bug. So the number one, which essentially was about the notifier, it's a real bug. And it says, I will fix this with TDD. This is very important, ladies and gentlemen. What we are doing here is we are enhancing, we are adding more test cases to the previous test cases that we originally had. And what that means is that the person who wrote the test thought thoroughly what things needed to be covered, but there were some cases that were not covered. And because we were following TDD with what it was in there, we had a few things that were not covered. And thankfully, we've got Claude Code that is helping us with that. So it first wrote the tests, then the execution of those tests being in red, exactly, that's proper TDD. And then I expect it to start implementing, and indeed, it did implement the changes. And I can see that has already been addressed. Okay, so back on you on the open question. Do you want multiple rules or rules per service ID to each dependent, or is a one alert per service? I want multiple rules. I do want multiple rules per service ID. So, and I am assuming that after it asked and didn't take its own initiative, which is amazing. In this case, it actually did indeed ask me what the initiative was. And then it said the user wants multiple rules per service to each. So it's actually thinking, wait, actually, let me think about more this carefully. The failure count, so it's actually going, this is fascinating, ladies and gentlemen. For resolution, when a health check comes, I receive the failure. Oh, let's see what is going to come in. Okay, so it did actually say, okay, let's go ahead, and again, is writing the test. This is proper TDD, and again, we are enhancing the already enhanced test suite, and it has now done the implementation. So I am assuming that after the red fail test is going to be green at some point, and indeed it is. So now we have completed most of the feedback, if not all, really, from Codex. So let's go back to Codex and say, hey, we have addressed the finding. Could you please review the code? And let's let Codex to do its job. Have you realized, ladies and gentlemen, how fun is this? So we gained context of a ticket with related tickets, with nuances, with some services working, some other services not working. And then in a matter of minutes, we had the full picture of what needed to be implemented. This is a radical change of what I have been doing for the last 20 years. This has allowed me to be able to jump on projects, to be able to jump on services I was not exposed in the past, and gain context this and quick. And if I have something that I forgot, then I can ask and go back. And I would like to quote my friend Impostor, which, by the way, you should definitely check out his channel. It's also very interesting tech stuff. He will tell me that the difference between talking to a human and talking to an LLM regarding going back and forth with context is that you could ask a peer or a tech lead a question, and if that person thinks rightly or unrightly, I think completely wrong, but they could mock you and they can say about how a person with your seniority is asking this type of question. You should be You should not be asking this question, and that creates insecurity, that creates impostor syndrome feeling. Is horrible. I have been there and it's horrible. And this way I can go back and forth as much as I want, and the LLM is never going to tell me, oh, you should be ashamed from asking the. It actually will say, I'm quoting my friend Ifmos, oh, that's a very interesting question. Let's go ahead and let's dig into it. And that motivates you to keep talking. This is amazing. Okay, so I've completed the checks I'm doing, and it's already found something apart. So, but this case is a medium, so no other finding. Okay, let's just copy the medium as well, and let's see what it thinks. And the first thing is say, okay, test first. No messing on the point. Valid point. If notify throws synchronously before returning a promise, catch won't handle it. And indeed, a valid point. It notify throws asynchronously. Okay, that's good. So okay, it has completed so it did add yet another test and the implementation, and I can see that there is not any. So it keeps following our code standards. So let's go back to Codex. All right, we have implemented that one. Could you please re-review and tell me what's the score of the quality of the code, just out of curiosity? So no findings in the current uncommitted. There is a residual no integration test, but that's probably out of this scope. Oh wow, that is a very good. So that's a very good thing. It's a 9 out of 3 out of 10. Good fixed quality and strong. And it probably wants us to write the integration test for getting the 10, but I am fine right there. So let's just come out of here and let's go back to the curls that we were doing. So we have the alerts, and it looks like they are still working fine. So now what is going to happen? So now I'm going to see the code that was generated. I have my IDE open with the engine.ts file. Could you walk us through to what you have done so that we can understand the code review that we are doing ourselves? Sure. In the lines 9 and 12, so these bits, we have the properties, the 3 independent pieces of the state, so that's where we are saving the state. Okay, that's fine. And then the process result is the unhealthy path, which is this one. Let's expand it. And what it is saying is that is find all the rules matching the service ID, if known well early in the line 25. That's why we have this exit early. Increment the failing counter of the service in the line 20. Okay, so we are actually here when we are changing the state of the failure counts. Okay, that's fine. And I guess the healthy one at some point might be like clearing, because we believe we saw, okay, let's say, and then it resets the failure count in the line 58. Okay, so this is where the failure count resets. We knew that at some point the failure counts were going to be resetted, and it is indeed here. And then those two seem to be getters from the state, so that's pretty straightforward. And then we have the safe notify. This was the reviewer's main concern. It returns a promise, but a buggy notifier. Okay, so there is an implementation here with the way the alerts get notified, which is pretty good. That's the full picture. No, so far so good. Let's go back and see the implementation of the alerts. Let's see if these guys are still returning the errors. I can see here that the payment service that was failing, if we do the alerts now, we did change the state to 200, and now it looks like it's working. So there are no alerts, which is exactly what we expect. So we are sure that the coder did its job. TDD, even if we try to say you are not doing TDD, it pushed that back. Hey, I already have some tests, so let me do my job. Fine. Then coder did review. I did review the code as well. The test, let's see if the tests look any bad. So look and see, from what we can see here, they look like legit tests. You have your rules here, and it's picture and capturing all, and with actual comments. This is very good because your code will be read by agents in the future. And so far, so good. So what we're gonna say is, because as you can see, we were in the main branch. Check out what I'm gonna say. So now that the code is fine, the reviewer has done the job, you have done your job, and I have done my job, I want you to open a pull request. Before that, I want you to put these changes into a branch. Then you open that pull request with the changes that we have, and I want you to wait until the pipeline is green and the comments from CodeRabbit has been completed. So you probably want to somehow do any kind of long polling or something in order to be checking every now and then the feedback from both the pipeline and the CodeRabbit. And if everything is fine, I don't want you to merge. What I want you to is addressing the comments from CodeRabbit. If CodeRabbit gives you a message in a thread, I want you to commit the code and then respond and react to that message. I don't want you to put a general comment. I want you to be exactly to the point where the error was. And let's go for it. Okay. So now it's giving the instruction, and I expect it to be creating the branch. So it's checking the current state of things. It noticed that it's in the main branch. It has created the new branch, git checkout -b. And this is the beauty. This is the beauty of letting, obviously with the right monitoring, letting Claude Code to do both Git and the GitHub CLI, because it can do so many good things that I've never been able to open a PR through the GitHub CLI, and we already have the PR. So what we can see here is that the PR looks like it is having all the changes. That's perfect. And then we can see that the files that were pushed were exactly the files that we had. So far we are in the right path. And then we can see that indeed CodeRabbit has picked up the changes, and that, nice, the pipeline is green. So now we have to wait until CodeRabbit gives us some feedback. Let's see. Okay, so we are lucky enough for CodeRabbit to have found anything. And because it was already waiting for a few times, it decided that it was gonna wait for longer. I'm just gonna cancel the wait. Now that everything is ready, you go ahead and merge. And now, check this out. All has been beautifully completed. And now if we see the main, we have the pipeline and everything is fine. And so far, so good. So, summary, ladies and gentlemen, have you realized how much the development of one ticket into code, into reviewing, into merging has changed drastically with the new technology that we have? I'm so excited to share this with you all and more in the future. So please hit the like button and subscribe, and adios.